Hey guys, it's Joey. So I'm trying to figure out some new videos to do on this channel, and if you hear a lot of wind, it's super windy outside. If you hear like the house is about to fall apart, that's what it is. It's just extremely windy outside. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out some new videos to do the channel, trying to change things up. So I'm going back to these kind of pre-recorded videos, and I actually had sent out a request a couple of weeks back about something that you guys might like to see on the channel, and somebody said they want to see my record collection. So I have all my records stacked up here. I do not have an extensive collection yet. I'm still a very new record collector, so a lot of the stuff is going to be more on the modern side. There are some classic stuff here, but a lot of it's going to be modern. There's going to be, I think it's a good mix of stuff. So I'm going to go through all of it. I'll probably do each band or musician or whatever as a group and show you a couple records, and I'll take a little bit more time on some of my favorites and some that I might recommend to someone watching. So the first one is a band I saw. This is an EP for a band I saw a long time ago, and I really love them. And I saw them. They were opening for somebody else, and I absolutely love them. I don't remember who they were opening for. This was a long time ago. I think they were opening for Hospitality, which is a band that I don't believe is together anymore. But this is an EP called Carolina by a band named Teen. I bought this at Rough Trade in Brooklyn. It was kind of with their more indie stuff, and this was a band I always liked. And I think this was new when I bought it. And I really like the stuff. Carolina, the title track, is probably my favorite off of this one, but I recommend Teen. I think they also recently broke up. But they're a good band. Go back and check out a couple of their records. I think I might have more in this collection, but we'll start with Teen. Now, moving on. This one, some of you might be excited. Some of you might wonder why I have this. Some of you might be totally on board. Some of you might be clicking out because I have this video record. But Taylor Swift's 1989. I genuinely like this record. It was a lot of fun, especially that year it came out. What year did this come out? Was it 2014? That was 6 years. This came out 6 years ago already. Played it that whole summer. All my friends were super into it. It's a good album. I think it's an objectively good album. Whether you like Taylor Swift or not, I mean, if you don't like Taylor Swift, obviously you're not going to be into this. But I think this was just a good pop album. I think Taylor Swift is super underrated and I don't want to say misunderstood, but I think a lot of the sort of the tabloidy kind of stuff gets in the way of actual music, which is unfortunate. Next, I'm going to go through two Bowies I have, and I believe these are re-releases, but I really needed to have Heroes by David Bowie, because this is possibly one of my favorite Bowie records. The re-release sounds great. I mean, I don't have a great setup. I just have sort of your run-of-the-mill Crosley at the moment. My dad has a pretty solid setup, so sometimes I just listen to stuff on that. But yeah, I bought Heroes and the Hunky Dory re-releases, remasters. This album is good. This isn't one of my favorites, but I felt like I wanted to start building my Bowie collection. I mean, it's a good album. I'd be remiss to say that there's a bad Bowie album. It's a good album. Not one of my favorites, whereas Heroes I absolutely love. But they're both, they're both great. You should listen to both. Next, I have, actually, I don't know how this got into my collection, although I don't mind it at all. When we moved, there was a little bit of a vinyl mix-up, but I think this is mine, actually. Culture Club, Color by Numbers. This has Karma Chameleon on it, which obviously is a fantastic song. And I think I did buy this, but I think I just bought it for Karma Chameleon. But there's other good pop Culture Club songs on this record, so I don't feel too bad about it. All right, so here's another band. I thought I had other records by them, but I guess I just have the last two. So Churches, I have Every Open Eye, and I forgot what this one is called, to be honest. Or is it? Oh yeah, that's right. Love Is Dead. This one I wasn't as crazy about, the latest album, but this one I love. Every Open Eye, I absolutely love. I have them both, of course, because I always want to support the bands I love and the groups I love. Again, it was a good album, but this one is the one I go back to all the time. Every Open Eye by Churches. I also saw them live. They're fantastic. I was dancing the whole time. Lost My Mind. I saw them at Radio City Music Hall. It was fantastic show. I miss concerts. I'm gonna have to rearrange all these. This is a classic. I do live in New Jersey, so you gotta have "Born in the USA" by Mr. Springsteen. A lot of good tracks on this one, of course. "Born in the USA," of course. "Dancing in the Dark," "Glory Days," "I'm Going Down." One of my favorite Bruce Springsteen songs, "I'm on Fire." I mean, most of my hometown. This whole album is pretty great. So, if you're new to music, if you're new to vinyl, this one sounds great on vinyl. Most Springsteen, at least early Springsteen, sounds really great on vinyl. Next, we have one of my favorite records of all time, "Boston" by Boston. I feel like this is like one of the first records I had to have in my collection. This, "More Than a Feeling," is one of my, if not, it is my favorite song of all time, but just had the peace of mind, foreplay, longtime rock and roll band, smoking, hitch a ride. I love this whole album. I love Boston so much. I couldn't recommend this album more. Fortunately, I do not have more of their records, which is a damn shame because I do love them so much. But this one, it's an old record. This might have been one of the earlier releases. This says 76, which I think is when the original album came out. This might be one of the original releases. If you were lucky, if you were a little bit ahead of the game where vinyl made the comeback, you were able to buy these for cents. I remember in high school, kind of the hipster thing was starting. The indie hipster thing was really starting to take off, but it hadn't reached the mainstream, the masses. The people weren't going out and buying vinyl en masse again. So a lot of these were still really cheap, and people were just trying to get rid of them. They were trying to get them out of their basements. So that was a beautiful time for the hipsters that were a little bit, on the early. And I sound like such a hipster for saying that. That were kind of on at the beginning of this kind of vinyl resurgence. We were able to get secondhand vinyl for really, really cheap. All right, here's another one. This is also another album I love, Bon Iver, or Bon Iver, depending on how you want to say it. Very beautiful record. This is probably my favorite by him. I actually saw him live when the last record came out, and his music is amazing live. It's so beautiful. I saw it at King's Theater in Boston. It was a day. I had to sit down after I was sitting down at the concert. It was pretty emotionally taxing, but it was gorgeous. Loved it. And this one, I had to buy because I love the movie Blue Velvet so much, and there's a lot of other good blues songs on this. It's "Blue on Blue" by Bobby Vinton, $3. It has a couple hits. Blue Velvet, of course. It has "Blue Hawaii," "Blue Moon," "Blueberry Hill," "My Blue Haven." I bought it mostly for Blue Velvet, obviously, but Blue Moon is one I enjoy putting on from time to time. So there we go, Bobby Vinton. Now here's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, Blade Runner. Also bought this at Rough Trade in Brooklyn. I feel like there's nothing to say about this one. Vangelis, composition, arrangements, everything. I put this on probably once a week. If I'm not putting it on the record, I'll listen to it on Spotify, but this is an absolute staple in my collection. This is a record I'll probably have till the day I die because I love this soundtrack so much. Here was a disappointing one, and not the record disappointing, because Black Sabbath Paranoid disappointing is not disappointing. I love that record, but I don't know what happened. I bought this at a flea market, and when I got home, the record wasn't in it. So I don't have this record, but I kept the case just in case. I'll probably buy it, but this is a great record nonetheless. Here's another sort of more classical thing. It was the Bruno Walter Beethoven Symphony. This is another it's a couple of Beethoven's more moody kind of compositions. Eroica, I believe it's pronounced Eroica. I don't know if you could see that. Yeah, Eroica. Kind of haunting, beautiful. This I bought at Princeton Record Exchange, I believe. They have like a box there. They used to. This was a couple years ago. that you can kind of dig through, and they have, it was $1. So sometimes I'll just go through one of those bins and pick out a couple ones I recognize, and then I'll pick out a couple that I wasn't totally aware of before. But I like having some classicals just to throw on whenever I need to zen out or anything. Now here's a modern classic, and people might disagree, but I really love this album. And I love where her career is going. She seems like a good kid. Billie Eilish. Fantastic album. What is this? Yeah. Fantastic. I mean, it's hard. Most people know this album, I feel like, at this point. You've had to been living under a rock for the past year if you haven't heard anything off of this album. You've at least heard Bad Guy. I'm the bad guy. Like, it's full of pop, a bunch of pop hits. Like, this is gonna be a classic, I think. A classic pop album. Love it. Now this one is mixed in with a bunch, but this is a staple every holiday season. Jackson 5 Christmas album. Been listening to this one since I was a youngin'. We actually had the cassette that we might still have it somewhere, but played the cassette to death. I love this Christmas album so much. This is a staple in the family. We didn't have the record. Actually, I didn't get to actually listen to it too much this past Christmas because life was crazy. But I feel like this is a staple in this household, and it's just a great Christmas record. Now here's an audio drama I have that I was gifted a while back. The Invisible Man audio drama. Haven't listened to it yet, but I just love having this. I love the original story, the H.G. Wells book. They actually have a couple of the other ones that they have on the back. If I could actually find the Time Machine, that would be cool. And More of the Worlds. I love the H.G. Wells stuff. So this is one I still need to listen to. Now I have a record. We're going into my Broadway collection a little bit. I don't have too much Broadway, but this was the first show I ever saw on Broadway. How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. I saw when Darren Criss was on it because I'm a big fan of Darren Criss. But I saw this original recording at a flea market, and I had to get it because all the songs on this are just so. His brotherhood of man. This is just a good. If you haven't watched How to Succeed in Business, I mean, I really love Darren Criss in it, but if there's a movie, or if you at least just watch the old movie, or listen to the soundtrack, I think you'll find a couple good tunes in this. And I don't remember why I have this, but I have the Carol Channing Hello Dolly album. I do like Hello Dolly. I haven't really listened to this one all the way through. I have it. I like Hello Dolly, but I just have not listened to this record all the way through, so I can't really speak to it too much. But it is an older record. Now here's another one of my favorite. I'm a big fan of 70s music. That's kind of where I go back to. If I'm going to go back to an era of music, I think 70s was just a gorgeous era for rock and music in general. But we have Little Queen, Heart's Little Queen. Love this album. This is one of my favorite albums since I was a young guy. Not that I'm that old, but I'm not that young either anymore. Barracuda's on this. This is, of course, Cry to Me is on this. Little Queen is obviously on this. Really fantastic album. I do like the photography here. It's like a little Ren Fair kind of thing. Look at those sisters, just killers. I mean, Heart is still killing it. They're still fantastic. Just such a good album. Okay, here's another more contemporary group that I really love. Glass Animals. Now I saw Glass Animals live, and they were still pretty green when I saw them live, but they were really great. But this album, How to Be a Human Being, this was on repeat for a whole year. When did this come out? 2016. When this album came out, again 4 years ago, which I can't believe this was 4 years ago, but I played this on repeat. I absolutely love this album. Glass Animals, How to Be a Human Being. Check it out. They're really great. I really love their music. Here's a cool one. Now, as you guys might know, one of my favorite shows, my favorite show of all time is Scrubs. And I had the chance to meet Zach Braff once when his last movie, or maybe his movie before his last, when his movie Wish I Was Here was premiering, and he did a signing at a Urban Outfitters in Midtown Manhattan. So you were able to meet him, and he was going to sign either the Garden State soundtrack, which is what I got signed by Zach Braff, or the Wish I Was Here soundtrack. So I met him shortly, and he signed the record. It was really great. I'm a big Scrubs fan. I do like his movies. I think Garden State soundtrack is fantastic. It is pure hipster indie, beauty. The Shins, Coldplay, early Coldplay, Simon & Garfunkel, Iron and Wine, Fro, Bonnie Somerville is on it. Nick Drake, Carey Brothers, who were featured on Scrubs a lot too. I believe one of the Carey brothers was on Scrubs. Yes, he sang Blue Eyes on Scrubs, which is what is on this album. But it was also on Scrubs. Okay, so continuing, we have two of my favorite albums ever. Two Fleetwood Mac albums, and I really love Tango in the Night. This is one of my favorite Fleetwood Mac albums. Absolutely love it. Love the compositions of this album. Everywhere is one of my favorite Fleetwood Mac songs. Seven Wonders, Tango in the Night itself, Little Lies. Absolutely love this album. I really do. I believe there was a time where I had two of these because people knew how much I loved it, and they sent it to me as gifts. Then Play On, I also have by Fleetwood Mac. I don't have Rumors, believe it or not. Because I have so many other versions of Rumors. I'll get the vinyl of Rumors eventually, but I kind of want to get some of the other deeper cuts, Fleetwood Mac deeper cuts that I enjoy. So here's another one that I also think is my dad's, and my grandfather was actually just watching it. I actually just watched a new movie he was in called Accelerator. It's on Amazon Prime if you're curious. But I have the Flash Gordon soundtrack. Yeah, I mean, this is a solid soundtrack. Let's see. I haven't listened to this one in a good long time. But, yeah, it's also part of my collection. So here's another one of my favorite albums of all time. This one is by the Decemberists, Crane Wife. Really gorgeous album, fun album, rockin' album. Really, it's just a very thoroughly good album. It just kind of hits. It's like solid. Like I'm not very eloquent. I'm at a loss for words, but it's a very solid album. This is one I think I'll be listening to also till the day I die. So, Crane Wife 1 and 2 and 3, Landlord's Daughter, O Valencia, one of my favorite songs, Yankee Bayonet, Shanky Old Butchers. This is a good album. This is my favorite Decemberists album. Maybe then Hazards of Love after that. Here's actually two of the same song. I don't know why I have two of them, but I have two versions of the Nutcracker on vinyl. Again, this is a situation where like people know like I like Christmas, although these are not overtly Christmassy covers, and the Nutcracker isn't overtly a Christmassy kind of show, but it is associated with Christmas. So I have Tchaikovsky's The Nutcracker. This one is from Fantasia. This is the composition from Fantasia. Leopold Stokowski and the Philadelphia Orchestra, and this is done by the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. Sergio Commissiona was the conductor. Gotta love a good Nutcracker suite. Now here's one of my favorite sort of one-hit wonder artists. Unfortunately, they're a one-hit wonder, and they could have been a lot better. But Greg Alexander is doing a lot of cool work. He worked with Mandy Moore. He did a movie with Mark Ruffalo and Keira Knightley, and the name escapes me right now, but he did the music for that movie that I really like, but I can't remember the name of right now. But New Radicals. This is one of my favorite albums ever. and I had to buy this. I bought this at an FYE that was going out of business in Clifton, New Jersey. It was kind of one of the last records there, and it was sitting by itself, and it felt like I was in the right place at the right time, because this is a record I've also been listening to since I was a teenager. It came out, I believe, in 97. I guess this was a re-release. This was a re-release in 2017. Wow. I didn't know they actually... I mean, I knew this wasn't the original release, but I didn't realize they had put it out again in 2017. But, yeah. New Radicals by New Radicals. Obviously, Mother, We Just Can't Get Enough. You Get What You Give, which is a song everybody knows. Someday We'll Know is sort of the other minor hit. But a lot of these songs end up in movies, even to this day. I just love these songs so much. I love every song on this album. So if you haven't listened to this yet, and you're a fan of kind of 90s alt-rock, pop kind of stuff, New Radicals is just fantastic. I love that album so much. And now here we go into, let's see, yes. I have 2 Nat King Cole collections. I love Nat King Cole. These collections are fairly similar. I have the greatest hits, the greatest of Nat King Cole, and the Nat King Cole Story, which are basically just 2 kind of greatest hits albums. There is some variation, but most of them, it's mostly the same stuff. Nature Boy, the Christmas Song, because they put that on the greatest hits album, because I guess that is one of his greatest hits. Too Young, Mona Lisa, Straighten Up and Fly Right, Route 66, LOVE, Ramblin' Rose, a lot of good stuff. Pretend, Smile. I just love Nat King Cole's voice. I'm a very big fan of all these songs, like that were sung by all those old crooners. I always go to the Nat King Cole versions. I think they're fantastic. Here's an album by a band that I kind of fell out of love with. I really liked this first album, but it kind of just got played to death. And I'm usually one that I'll come back after I'm kind of over a certain band. But Lumineers, this album, I really like this first album. It has Ho Ho Hey, which is a song that was played constantly. But I really liked this kind of... They kind of came on the heels of the Mumford & Sons folk rock kind of resurgence thing that happened a couple years back, 2012, I guess. So yeah, that happened for a while, but they played Mumford & Sons and Lumineers like all the time, and I got kind of over. I still can't really listen to Mumford & Sons, but I do like these albums. It's just I might need a very long time to get back to them. It's been 8 years, and I'm still not back to them, but I might need more time. Here is obviously two staples of music. We have Led Zeppelin, and I love this inner artwork. I love the sort of the Lord of the Rings kind of artwork in Led Zeppelin works. I don't have enough Zeppelin. Like I said, my collection is very new and very, very sparse. Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Stairway to Heaven, obviously. Just a fantastic album. Fantastic album. Misty Mountain Hop. And then the Levee Breaks. And then I have Song Remains the Same, because I think this might have been one of the first concert films I ever watched, and I think I actually watched that concert film before I actually really listened to Led Zeppelin, so it was just like completely enchanting and blew my mind when I watched the Song Remains the Same when I was like younger. And then I've loved Led Zeppelin ever since, so much so that the only thing I could play on guitar is like blues. I can't break out of this blues thing. I need a lot of help. I only play blues scales. I try to do some jazz standards, but I just always want to get back to this blues sound that I love so much, that I kind of made me in love with rock and roll in the first place. Now here's another band I absolutely love, and I believe these are all their albums. I might be missing some EPs. They might have just put out a new one. Oh, here we go, actually. I do have the new one. So this is Lake Street Dive. I have most of their albums. It's just sort of bluesy, R&B, rock, funk. It's just fun music. Really fun music. I love them so much. I listen to them all the time. This is Free Yourself Up, which I believe is their latest album. Really good. Then we have Side Pony, which is a really fun album. And then we have Bad Self Portraits, which is, I believe, their debut album. I actually had watched them perform at Rockwood Music Hall in Manhattan. And I didn't know who they were, and we kind of just stumbled in there. We were just going to drink and see what bands were playing. And then, Lake Street Dive was on. I didn't know them at the time, and I was just so blown away. I didn't care about who I was with. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted to listen to them, and I was so enchanted by just their whole setup, and it was just so beautiful. And they did a cover of I Want You Back by the Jackson 5, and I was done. I was absolutely in love from then on, and I've been a big fan ever since. The next one is the Labyrinth soundtrack, because of course I feel like I don't really have to explain this one too much. The Labyrinth, David Bowie, beautiful soundtrack, beautiful movie, love it. Not much to say. Next I have Floating Into the Night by Julie Cruz, and we all know I'm a big Twin Peaks fan, so I had to have the Julie Cruz record. This one has Falling, which is basically the Twin Peaks theme, Rockin' Back Inside My Heart, Mysteries of Love, Into the Night, I Float Alone, The Nightingale, The Swan, and The World Spins. Beautiful, haunting, just wonderful record. Love me some Julie Cruz. Next, we have one of my favorite musicians of all time that I think deserves a lot more attention and credit. And I've probably talked about him before, and I used to play covers of his songs all the time, which is funny because what I'm about to show you is his cover album that he put out recently. Jonathan Colton. It's called Some Guys, but basically this is an album of soft rock covers. Plays Sister Golden Hair. It plays On and On, Alone Again Naturally, The Things We Do for Love, Easy, How Deep Is Your Love. I love this cover album. I love when he does covers. I love Jonathan Colton. I've seen him live many, many times. He's absolutely great. For good measure, here's another good Jonathan Colton one, Solid State. Really love this album. Full of I'm a big fan of Jonathan Colton. I highly recommend it. It's nerd rock, folk rock. He's a very multi-talented artist. Highly recommend. Okay, now here we have one of my absolute faves that you guys might know. And I've been following her career for over a decade now, and I absolutely love her music and her career so far, and I can't wait to see and hear more. St. Vincent, Marry Me. Everything I recommend to you right now, just go listen to it on Spotify, download it, buy it, whatever. I love St. Vincent. This one is Marry Me. That's the first album. Then we have the second, Actor. It's hard to pick a favorite. It's like picking a favorite child, of course, but this is my absolute favorite. It's Actor. If you're going to start anywhere, you could start with Marry Me, or you could start with Actor. It's hard to choose, but I love Actor so much. And this is kind of where I came in, and then I went back to Marry Me, and I've been following it ever since. But this is my favorite. This album means the world to me. So Marry Me, Actor, Strange Mercy. This one's kind of heavier than the other ones. This is what I believe she has called her depression album, and it came out while I was dealing with some pretty severe stuff, and it just was kind of what I needed at the time. So this is another great album. Then we have St. Vincent, the self-titled album, which is just a great, freaky pop rock alt experiment. Maybe not experimental, but I like to call this the freaky album. I love it a lot. Then we have the latest one, which is Mass Seduction, which is kind of it's almost like the previous release is kind of a stepsister, I almost want to say. A lot of similar messing around with sounds and sort of just screwing with the sonic nature of the guitar and all the stuff, and I love all this stuff, Mass Seduction. And then there was a sort of a stripped back version of Mass Seduction that kind of played on this joke that was running when Mass Seduction came out. And this one is called Mass Education, because everybody kept calling Mass Seduction Mass Education. And so she put out this really stripped back acoustic version of Mass Seduction called it Mass Education, which, again, highly recommend. Okay, continuing, we have a bunch of soundtracks, all for the same thing. And you probably could guess what it is. These are all for the same exact show. There are different soundtracks for the same show, but it is for the same show nonetheless. So we have the Twin Peaks Mondo Tease album release for the series. It's very hard to say. There's kind of like a holographic, and you might be able to see the reflection of it. But yeah, these are just, I love the cover art. It's just so gorgeous. There's nothing on the back. This is a little dirty from being where it is, but yeah, there's the first one. And I know they just put out a new one, I believe, for the season 2, original season 2 run. Here's the Fire Walk With Me run. I love it. It's kind of like a matte finish. It feels really nice. These are just gorgeous. I've listened to these probably a little too much. Then I have the soundtrack for The Return, which is basically just all the sort of instrumental stuff. And a couple of the other mixes, like the American Woman mix from the Return. You have Laura Palmer and the Golden Bubble, Globe, whatever you want to call. And then I have the actual music from The Return, which is, that soundtrack was stellar. So yeah, and I think I have another Twin Peaks one somewhere in this mess, but yes. And then I have Thought Gang, which was Angelo Badalamenti's and David Lynch's music project. I haven't listened to this too much yet. It has a Real Indication, which was on the Fire Walk With Me soundtrack, but I have a weird relationship with David Lynch's music. I have to very much be in the mood for it, but I thought this was a staple for the collection. And then you get to also have some of David Lynch's artwork too. So it's called it says Modern Music, but yeah. Okay, here we have another band that I absolutely love. I actually just got their new album, but I think I'm missing some of the earlier stuff. So here's the newest one. Tennis Swimmer. I've seen them live. Actually, I was supposed to see them live this past week, or this week. And, due to Corona, it's canceled. This was their last album, Yours Conditionally, and I believe this one was the first album I heard, called Young and Old, produced by Patrick Carney, which I believe is the same Patrick Carney from the Black Keys. So this is a really great one. If you haven't listened to Tennis yet, it is cool. I mean, the earlier records are like cool beach rock kind of things, like sort of 50s-ish beach kind of rock vibe, but they've gotten kind of honed in on very specific sound that's similar to the beach rock thing, but it sounds just very uniquely theirs, and there's a sort of a 60s, 70s, 80s-ish vibe to it all. I'm not doing a good job of explaining it, but I just really love the sound. I really love Alana's voice. It's a magical experience. Okay, so here we have some other just randos that I really love because I found them at flea markets and just had to have them. But the Temptations' greatest hits, love the Temptations. The Way You Do the Things You Do is on this. My Girl, Ain't Too Proud to Beg. Don't Look Back is on this. And a couple other pretty good ones. Sometimes when I'm trying to learn about older music, I'll go and see if I could find something like this to just really listen it to the way that kind of it was meant to be listened to in a way, I guess. That sounds super pretentious, but I really like kind of puts me in that era when I listen to these songs kind of the way they were originally meant to be listened to. So, pretentious or not, it's just something I enjoy to do. Here's another Weezer album. I don't have enough Weezer. This is my first Weezer album, the Red Album. Not one of the best Weezer. There's a lot of fun tracks on this, but it's not one of my favorites. Pork and Beans is on this. The Greatest Man That Ever Lived, Troublemaker. It's okay. It's an okay Weezer album. That's probably the nicest thing I can say about it. Okay, and here's something that's not a record, but I do have Ferris Bueller Day Off laser disc because somebody just said you could take it, because I realized it wasn't a record and I went to put it back, and the guy's like, no, you can just have it, just take it. So now I have a Ferris Bueller's Day Off laser disc. Okay, and here is the other one. The artwork I'm not a fan of. It's a little I don't know. It's a little I just learned how to use Photoshop-ish, but it's the Twin Peaks Season 2 soundtrack. It has all the stuff that wasn't on the other soundtrack. Like it has Shelley's theme, the high school. It has a lot of the sort of the tracks that were sort of in between scenes or during like a lot of the school scenes, and some of the ones that just didn't make it onto the original soundtrack. Here's an album that came out, I believe, last year, and I absolutely have been adored, and I adore this artist, Caroline Polachek's Pang. Absolutely love this album. It's very sort of dreamy, fairy tale-ish, just beautiful, gorgeous pop music. And and Caroline's voice is just magical, astounding. I'm obsessed with this. I'll put it on and not even realize I just put it on and listen to it on repeat without even realizing it, just because I like to be in the world that Caroline sets up in this album. It's really gorgeous. Highly recommend that one for a more new album to check out. So we have Stray Cats. This has Rock This Town. I'm not a big Stray Cats fan, but this had two of the sort of the bigger Stray Cats hits. It has Stray Cat Strut and Rock This Town. So it felt like, why not include it in the collection? So I did. Here's another one that I got at a flea market just because I love the musician. And I want to start building this part of my collection up. Stevie Wonder's Inner Visions, which has Living for the City, Higher Ground, Don't You Worry About a Thing. Love Stevie Wonder. I could, I'm trying to learn Stevie Wonder songs, but they're more complicated than you might think, and I'm a very okay-ish musician. Here's, I feel like, a staple in a collection. Stevie Nicks' Belladonna. Staple, absolutely, I feel like necessary in a collection. Stevie Nicks, just in general, is necessary on a vinyl collection. Stevie Nicks' voice sounds great on vinyl, so this is just, gotta have it. You just have to. You have to have it. Just like Peter Frampton's Peter Frampton Live. Here's another artist that I really like from the 80s, and I think I really dig two of his bigger songs, but here's Steve Winwood. Actually, yeah, Steve Winwood, Talking Back to the Night. This one has Valerie on it, which is the only real song I really bought this for. The other ones are okay, but Valerie, I just love that song. I love that song so much. Here is a gift I was given one Christmas by a friend, and I'm not sure, I think it was meant as a gag gift, but joke's on him, because I actually really love this album, and I think it is a pop royalty. It's a pop classic. We have Spice Girls. Spice Girls album. It has all the hits on it. It's fantastic. It has Wannabe on it. It has Love Thing. It has If You Can't. It has everything. If You Want to Be My Lover, gotta get with my friends. good album. Just a good album. What am I gonna say? All right, so we have some Sinatra here. It's basically a greatest hits album. Sinatra, a man and his music. This has a lot on it. It has a lot. Let's see. There's like 7 songs. There's 13 on one of them. Wow, they fit a lot of songs on this. This is a two record collection. Yeah, 2 record. But this has most of his hits on it. Then we go and we have Simon & Garfunkel, Bridge Over Troubled Water. Planning on getting all the Simon & Garfunkel albums eventually because I love Simon & Garfunkel. But this is one of my favorites. I figured this was one of the best a good first one to have in the collection. Bridge Over Troubled Water, Cecilia, So Long, Frank Lloyd Wright, The Boxer, Baby Driver, The Only Living Boy in New York, which might be my favorite song, Bye Bye Love, which is a cover of the Everly Brothers, of course. Just a solid album, classic, obviously. Then we have some Schubert to go with my classics collection. It's just some of the waltzes, Schubert waltzes. Sometimes I put that on too as background music when I want something very specific. Here's an album I love, and I think this is also a classic. And I think, I don't think it's underrated, but I think it definitely deserves more love. We have Randy Newman's Little Criminals with the very very popular song Short People on it. It's track number 1, Short People. But I just love this album. It's just such a very album-y album. Actually, I might put this on after we're done here, or while I'm editing, because it's just a good album. Then we have Queen's The Game. This one has Another One Bites the Dust. This one's hard to show on camera because it's all shiny. Crazy Little Thing Called Love. A couple of their other minor hits. Rocket, Save Me, coming soon. I wouldn't say it's not one of my absolute favorites, but I bought, Another One Bites the Dust and a Crazy Little Thing Called Love are on there, which are obviously fantastic songs. How to get that one? Here's another one that I bought basically for one song, but was pleasantly surprised because it has a lot of other beautiful stuff on it. Pete Townshend's Empty Glass. This album has Let My Love Open the Door, and a couple others. And I don't know if Empty Glass might be another one, but it's an album that a lot of people kind of overlook because of the hit of Let My Love Open the Door. But there's a lot of other really solid stuff on this. I really wish there were more Pete Townsend solo albums, to be honest. So here we have, I don't know where the other ones are, but I have 2 of my Vampire Weekend albums here. We have the latest one, Father of the Bride, and we have the last one, Modern Vampires of the City. Obviously, Vampire Weekend is one of my favorite bands of all time, so I highly recommend these. I suggest you get them. I don't know where my other Vampire Weekend albums are. They must be lost in the shuffle. I don't know where they could be, honestly. That's weird. For our last 2, I have these little 45s that I have. I got this one as sort of a gift because it's kind of a joke with a friend of mine. At our old job, the song used to come on the radio all the time, and we kind of used to make fun of it a little bit. But it's Cutting Crews, I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight. Your arms tonight. We always used to make fun of that part where he goes, it was always cracked us up, so she got me that as a gift. And then I have one by another sort of more indie artist, Casey Marie. She's a model and an artist, sort of a well-rounded artist. And this is her EP, Captive. I believe it came out a few years ago. I don't see a date on here, but it's one I had to buy because I really love her music. It's kind of like surreal, dreamy, kind of classical R&B-ish. It's a good mixer of pop and just weird stuff. I love it. And so that's all I have for now. Like I said, I don't have a very extensive record collection, but it is modest and it is growing slowly. So maybe I'll do another one of these in a couple years or months. We'll see. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you saw some of your favorites in here. Let me know if you're going to check out any of these. And if you have some recommendations of your own, please let me know in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you're not new, or if you are new, please like the video. Of course, leave a comment, and I'll talk to you very soon. Thanks so much for watching, and stay safe out there. See you later.